Welcome to the Build a RESTful API with AdonisJS course, where we will build an API for a forum. If you are new to building APIs with AdonisJS, then this course is for you. We are going to look at things like authentication, pagination, filtering, and sorting. Along the line, we will cover some best practices, such as how to structure endpoints, using correct HTTP methods and status codes, as well as response formats. As always, let's quickly go over what we will be building. For the purpose of this course, I will be using Insomnia, which is an HTTP client to test out the API. So yeah, I have the endpoints on the API. As you can see, we have endpoints for creating an account, logging into the account, creating a thread, fetching a single thread, fetching a list of threads, updating a thread, deleting a thread, of course with the necessary authorization. That is, the user deleting or updating a thread must be the one that created the thread. Also, we can reply to a thread, then update or delete the reply, again with the necessary authorization. I have gone ahead to create two users, which are Chimeze and John, which we will be using to test out the API. I'm going to log in as Chimeze. As you can see, we get a JSON response containing the token and the type. So I will copy this token, and instead of hard-coding the token within each endpoint, I have created two environment variables representing each of the user. So I'm going to update the environment variable to contain the token I just copied. Now I can use that environment. Now, every request I make will make use of the environment variables inside the Chimeze environment. Let's try creating a thread. The endpoint requires the title of the thread, the content, then the category the thread will fall under, which I'm setting as 1 in this case. The database already contains some categories. If I hit send, we should get an error. To create a thread, we need to be authenticated. Though we've generated an authentication token, but we are not making use of it yet. To make use of it, we need to pass it as an authorization header to the request. Ideally, this is where we will paste in the token we copied. But since we are making use of environments, and we named the environment variable token, so we will just type in the name of the environment variable. Now we can try resending the request. Now the request is successful and we get back a JSON response containing the thread we just created, along with the user that created the thread, as well as the category the thread belongs to. Also, you notice that we have a replies array, which is empty for now because obviously we haven't created any reply. So let's try replying this thread. Notice the endpoint is /threads/ the ID of the thread /replies. Again, we get a JSON response containing the reply, the user that made the reply, then the thread the reply was made on. You will notice the format and the structure of the responses are consistent. Just to show that the replies array from earlier will now contain a reply, let's fetch a single thread. Again, notice the endpoints is /threads/ the ID of the thread, which is 1 in this case. Also, this endpoint does not require authentication, just as we expected. Now I'm going to log in as John and try to update this thread. I'm going to hit send. As you can see, we get an appropriate message saying we can only edit our own threads. Obviously, John isn't the creator of the thread. Same thing is applicable for deleting a thread, updating a reply, as well as deleting a reply. Behind the scene, I have created a couple of additional threads so we can have something to work with. Now I'm going to fetch a list of threads. This endpoint doesn't require authentication as well. So I'm going to just hit send. And we get a slightly different structured response. Along with the array of threads, we get additional metadata which are for pagination. So we get the total number of items, the number of items per page, the current page, and so on. By default, the number of items to return per page is 25, but you can change that by passing a per page query. Per underscore page equals say 2. Now the number of per page has changed, and now we only have 2 threads. Also, we can pass the current page we want to return. Say we want to return the second page. As you can see, the current page has changed, as well as the records. In addition to these, we can also filter the threads by, say, the category underscore ID equals say 1. Now we only get threads that belongs to the general category. Let's fetch the threads for the second category. As you can see. Also, we can filter by the user ID. The user with the ID of 1 hasn't created any thread. Let's fetch for the user with the ID of 2. We get the thread, and the name of the user is Chimeze. Same thing for the user with the ID of 3. So we have 1, 2, 3 threads for this user. Lastly, we can sort threads by a particular column, as well as order the threads either in an ascending order or a descending order. I won't be doing a demo of those, but we'll get to see them along the line in the course. That is pretty much what we are going to cover in this course. So join me as we get started in the next lesson.